Hi there, this is Jennifer Clough. I'm displaying on this table some of the items that a flute teacher might use to help their students. The first thing I'd like to talk about is marking the head joint. When the student has managed to find a position where the angle of the head joint is correct to the body, it's really good to put a sticker on the head joint. You see that white sticker there? And I'm just using cassette stickers. And then when they finally are secure in that setting, you put an alternating sticker on the barrel of the head joint. See if I can do this in front of the camera. This would be tricky. And that way they'll always line up the same way, because we know how annoying it is to have students who are constantly putting on their head joints in different positions. You see how that lines up? These stickers come off with alcohol, and if the flute is greasy at all, you can swab it with alcohol prior to putting the stickers on. That'll help them last a lot longer, and in that way they always line up the head joint the same way. Also, using a permanent marker made for shiny surfaces, you can mark the student's flute where A440 is after a great deal of practice and tuning CD and tuner use. Once you've determined that room temperature, you can mark straight across a black line, and that shows A440. And then whenever they put their flute together, you'll see the two stickers line up, and you'll see the black mark where A440 is. And that should set your flute choir or your flute students up much more quickly than for them to just guess all the time and keep eyeballing. All right, on my own flute that I use all the time, I actually have markings for both. Let me show this. Okay, I have marked for the lineup of the head joint 2 straight lines. And then for the actual A440, I make a line across. And I also have other markings for A440 in a really cold room. And it falls between the 2 vertical lines that I already drew. So that's how you do that. Okay, and these markers, of course, are made for shiny surfaces, and they come from an office supply store. Now, to determine A440 is not the province of the novice. It's the province for their teacher and for professionals. Of course, you use the trusty tuner to overblow octaves and to play in different registers until you've decided what the average mezzo forte blowing style of the student is before you mark A440. And you have the student work with the tuning CD, which is good for improvising, scales, arpeggios, everything from etudes, solos, orchestral excerpts. The drone plays in the background, and it's a drone that contains the octaves and fifths. So the tuning CD is really useful. Now, a couple of people were asking about, where do you get stickers? I just use cassette stickers that come free with every time you buy an empty cassette. You can use any kind of stickers at all. Okay, they were also asking about what are these little grippy pads that I have here for the left index finger. Those are from an office supply store. They're like $1.50. They're pencil grips. And you just take a pencil grip, which is like a cylinder, you slit it open, and you take some of that blue tack. It's like for putting up posters, and you put it on the inside, and it grips to the flute that way. And this does not turn your flute black or hurt your flute in any way. And you set it where the index finger is going to hit the flute. So that's really useful. We have here also Teflon tape. Teflon tape is used for fitting head joints if the head joint is too small, and I use that because I don't want to have my head joint resized. We also have a close-up here of the flute flag here in the background. The maker of the flute flag reminded me to say that if for some reason it's not wicking up water, just wash it in Woolite or whatever detergent you would have for gentle, and it really dries quickly, and the wicking properties are restored, because I think they get oily from your hands over time. So that's the flute flag and the little tiny piccolo flag, which is so cute. Woohoo! There it is. Okay, good. And what else is there here? Oh, the greatest invention since the tuning CD is the thumb port. The thumb port is $20. It sticks on the flute without scratching, unlike the bow pep. Okay? And you can position it to any position you need, particularly because it slides and then grips. Okay? And it's for the left thumb. And I have, I keep saying I have such long fingers. I have such long fingers that when they're in position, this is really hard to show. My thumb is practically, under the rods. Okay, so when I'm in position, having that extra device to hold the thumb so that I don't have to press hard is fantastic. And of course, if it doesn't fit into your case, you just take it off and lay it in the case when you're finished. And that's great. So hopefully that explains everything. And to finish off, I'll just show you the markings one more time in case they didn't come out very well. Okay, let's just try for a real close-up on this. Here are the markings on the head joint for A440. Okay, and it's just 3 little lines, A440, A440 in a cold, 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 cold room, because that happens a lot, or for strings in the orchestra that are going sharp, and then I've got a line, of course, for all the way in, because my head joint is brand new and didn't have a line for that. So those are the lines there. Okay, great. And that's it for this instructional video on different things that the teacher can use to help her students.